Good morning, students. Today I will teach you the second and third part of chapter number 7 of your supplementary reader book, and the name of the topic is the open window. Students, in second part, Mrs. Stapleton, she came hurriedly into the room and she gave a lot of excuses for coming late, and she also told the story about the open window and all the three persons who had gone from the open window. Hearing the story of the three persons and the open window, Frampton Nuttall became frightened, and after that he thought to leave that place. So what he did, what he thought, to know this, let's start the chapters. Please open your book at page number 58 and see, concentrate your mind only to the book. She broke off with a little shudder. It was a relief to Frampton when the aunt busted into the room with a well of apologies for being late in making her appearance. The niece stopped abruptly with a little shiver, and it was a relief to Frampton when the aunt entered hurriedly and noisily into the room with a lot of excuses for coming late, for being late. She gave a lot of excuses for coming late, for coming down late, for being late. I hope Vera has been amusing you, she said. She has been very interesting, said Frampton. She said that she hoped Vera had been amusing him. Frampton replied that yes, she was very interesting. I hope you don't mind the open window, said Mrs. Stapleton briskly. My husband and brothers will be home directly from shooting, and they always come in this way. Mrs. Stapleton quickly said that she hoped he did not mind the open window, and she also added that her husband and her brothers would be home directly from shooting, and they used to come through the open window. They have been out for snipe in the marshes today, so they will make a fine mess over my poor carpet, so like you meant for, isn't it? She also told that they had been out for snipe. Snipe means water bird. They had been out for water bird in the marshes, in the bog, and so they will make the muddle disturbance over her poor carpet. She rattled on cheerfully about the shooting and the scarcity of birds and the prospects for duck in the winter. To Frampton, it was all purely horrible. She went on. She continued happily about the shooting and the shortage of birds and the possibility of duck in winters. And for Frampton, it was all purely horrible, purely terrible. When she continued to talk about the shooting, about the shortage of the bird and the possibility of duck in winters, but these all things were horrible, were terrible for Frampton Nuttall. He made a desperate but only partially successful effort to turn the talk on to a less ghastly topic. He tried to turn the talking towards a less frightening topic, but he was not successful. But he was succeed to a limited extent. He tried to turn the talking towards a less frightening topic, but to a limited extent he was successful. Means he was not successful. He was conscious that his hostess was giving him only a fragment of her attention, and her eyes were constantly straying past him to the open window and the lawn beyond. Frampton was aware that Mrs. Stapleton was giving him only a little bit attention. She was paying a little attention towards Frampton, and her eyes were continuously moving towards the open window and the lawn beyond him. He was sitting in front of her, but she was not paying attention to Frampton at all. Her eyes were constantly moving towards the open window and the lawn beyond him. It was certainly an unfortunate coincidence that he should have paid his visit on this tragic anniversary, and surely it was certainly an unfortunate event that he had come to visit to Mrs. Stapleton on this tragic anniversary. Means all the persons had gone, all the persons had left the home before 1 year on this day. The doctors agree in ordering me complete rest and absence of mental excitement and avoidance of anything in the nature of violent physical exercise, announced Frampton. Frampton said that the doctors have advised him to take complete rest, and they have advised him to be absent from the mental excitement. Means they have suggested not to get excited, and they had also suggested him to avoid anything that is violent, that is in nature of violent physical exercise. Means the doctors had advised him to take complete rest and not to get excited and to avoid the physical exercise, and he explained these things to Mrs. Stapleton, and who labored under the tolerably widespread delusion that total stranger and chance acquaintances are hungry for the least details of one's ailments and infirmities, their cause and cure. On the matter of diet, they are not so much in agreement, he continued. He also said that it was a worldwide delusion, false impression, or false belief of person that the strangers and the persons who meet by chance are hungry for the details of one's ailments and infirmities, means one's sickness or weakness. On the matter of diet, they are not so much in agreement. Means on the matter of diet, their thoughts are matchless, but they are hungry, they are curious to know about the one's sickness and weakness, who the strangers and the persons who meet by chance. No, said Mrs. Stapleton in a voice which only replaced a yawn at the last moment. Mrs. Stapleton replied in negative, only she said no, and in a voice which only replaced a yawn to open the mouth, gave at the last moment. Then she suddenly brightened into alert attention, but not to what Frampton was saying. And then suddenly her face was brightened and she became alert. And this alertness, this attention was not for the Frampton. This attention was not towards the Frampton, what he was saying. Here they are at last, she cried, just in time for tea, and don't they look as if they were muddy up to the eyes. She cried, here they all are, means they have come just in time for tea, and they do not look as if they were muddy up to the ears. Means she said that now all the three persons, they have come at the time of tea, in the time for tea, and did not seem to her that they looked as if they were muddy up to the eyes. Frampton shivered slightly and turned towards the niece with a look intended to convey sympathetic comprehension. Frampton shivered slightly, and he turned towards the niece with a look, with an intention, and wanted to convey the understanding, and he wanted to show his sympathy. The child was staring out through the open window with a dazed horror in her eyes. The niece was also looking towards the open window, and she was stunned, and the horror or the terror could be seen in her eyes also. Means she was also frightened. In a chill shock of nameless fear, Frampton swung round in his seat and looked in the same direction. In a chill sob of unclear fear, means he was fearing but he was not knowing the reason. Nameless means the fear was unclear, but he swung round in his seat and he also looked towards the same direction. In which direction Mrs. Appleton and the niece, both of them were staring. In the deepening twilight, 3 figures were walking across the lawn towards the window. They all carried guns under their arms, and one of them was additionally burdened with a white coat hung over his shoulders. In the twilight, 3 figures were walking, 3 figures were coming across the lawn, and they were crossing the lawn, and they were coming towards the open window, and they all had carried the gun under their arms, and among them one person was there who was having a coat over his shoulders. Okay, all the three persons were coming towards the open window, and they all had carried the gun under their arms, and one person was there among them who was having a coat, and the coat was hanging over his shoulders. A tired brown spaniel kept close at their heels, and a tired brown-colored spaniel dog was also with all of them. Noiselessly they neared the house. Without noise, they came near the house, and then a hoarse young voice chanted out of the dusk, and after that he could hear a disharmonious voice from out of the dusk, and the voice was, "Bertie, why do you bound? Bertie, why do you jump?" Okay, so part 2 is completed. Okay, now see the 3rd part. Frampton grabbed wildly at his stick and had the hall door, the gravel drive, and the front gate were dimly noted stages in his headlong retreat. A cyclist coming along the road had to run into the haze to avoid imminent collision. Frampton held his stick and hat. He crossed the hall door, the gravel way, and the front gate, and all these things he crossed immediately without noticing. And a cyclist coming along the road had to run into the bushes, haze, to avoid the imminent collision, bump, strike. Imminent means about to happen. Means he had to run into the bushes to avoid the happening collision, happening bump. "Here we are, my dear," said the bearer of the white mackintosh coming in through the window. "Who was that who bolted out as we came up?" The person, the bearer, who had taken the white raincoat, he said that "here we are" means now we have come, my dear. and all they came through the window. Coming through the window, he said he was having a raincoat, and he said that we all have come. But he asked that who was that person who ran out as we came up. He asked that as we entered, as we came, who was the person that was running? Who was that person who was running? Bolt out means run out. Who was running outside? A most extraordinary man, Mr. Nuttall, said Mrs. Stapleton. Mrs. Stapleton replied that a most strange and common man. He could only talk about his illness and dashed off without a word of goodbye or apology when you arrived. She said that he could only talk about his illness, and he departed hastily. He ran hastily without saying a word of goodbye or apology when you arrived. One would think he had seen a ghost, and seeing the condition of that person, anybody would think that surely he had seen a ghost. I expect it was the spaniel, said the niece calmly. The niece said that I expect that the reason for running out, the reason for departing of that person was the spaniel dog. He told me he had a horror of dogs. The person, Mr. Frampton, had told her, the niece said that Mr. Frampton had told her that he had a horror of dogs. He was once hunted into a cemetery somewhere on the banks of Ganges by a pack of dogs, and had to spend the night in a newly dug grave with the creatures snarling and grinning and foaming just above him. He also told her that once he was hunted into a graveyard somewhere on the bank of Ganges by a group of dogs, and he had to spend his night in a newly dug grave with the creatures. They were crawling and baring their teeth and foaming just above them. Means once Frampton was hunted into a graveyard by a group of dogs, and he had to spend his night in a newly dug grave, and the dogs were growling, they were baring their teeth, and they were foaming just above him, enough to make anyone lose their nerve. And such things are enough to make a person to lose his nerve. Such things means growling and grinning and foaming over a person, foaming above a person. These things are sufficient to make a person to lose his nerve. Romance at short notice was her specialty. Finding occasions for fun and enjoyment wherever possible was the specialty of the niece. Thrilling account without preparation. To create the thrilling account without preparation was her specialty. Students, now this chapter is completed. You have to revise this chapter, and you have to complete all the word meanings and the exercises of this chapter. I will provide you the exercise of this chapter. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.